Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Today, we are, although meeting virtually, Manitoba Music is a settler organization based on Treaty 1 territory, the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. I also want to recognize the strong Inuit community here in Manitoba. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Bienage. I am the Indigenous Music Development Coordinator at Manitoba Music. Today, I am joined by Tracey Longbottom of Manitoba Arts Council to talk about the Indigenous 360 Fund, as we are currently preparing a grant writing incubator to help Indigenous artists and industry prepare a grant for the March 25th deadline. I apologize for the delay this morning. We had a little bit of some technical issues, and I can't actually communicate with Tracey. But we're going to keep this presentation going. You can still hear her and her presentation and see it and everything. So we'll see how things go today. This info session is helpful for artists and industry who are looking to apply for the March deadline, as I said, and those who are planning to apply for the Indigenous Music Arts Council Grant Writing Incubator. The deadline for that to submit is tomorrow, February 11th. If you have any questions about that, you can email me at ashley@manitobamusic.com, and I will leave that in the comment section for you to find later. This incubator will set you up with a mentor to assist you during the grant writing process. You'll also have an opportunity to meet with a program advisor, Tracey, one-on-one for some last-minute questions during the first or second week of the incubator. So now I'm going to let Tracey come on screen. There she is. You can take it away, Tracey.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ashley, and thank you to the Manitoba Music Indigenous program for inviting me to do an information session. I'm sure she gave a lovely introduction. Unfortunately, we're having technical difficulty and I cannot hear anything she's saying, but the good thing is that you can hear me. So I'm going to start my application and start my presentation. So just to give you a general overview about the Manitoba Arts Council, I'm assuming most of you know a little bit about it. Maybe you have applied before in the past. Our mandate is to fund the creation and sharing of arts and culture for the benefit of all Manitobans. We have 15 granting programs available under 6 funding streams, and I'll talk a little bit about those. We have a staff of 15, including 4 program consultants and 3 help desk staff. And MAC is governed by a board with members from all over Manitoba, and we're based in Treaty 1 territory at 52593 Lombard Street, downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba. So today I'm going to be presenting on all things MAC and some of the basics to get you started and right through the entire process of the grant application. So we're going to talk about how to create a profile on Manipoga, which is MAC's online granting system, applicant eligibility, overview of the Indigenous 360 program, of course, the application process, the peer assessment process, and notification of grant results. So creating your profile is the first step in the application process, and it basically registers you online with the Manitoba Arts Council. So your profile is general information about yourself, including what type of applicant are you? Are you an artist? Are you a knowledge keeper? Are you registering as an arts group or an organization? Of course, you have to include your contact information in your profile, as well as the artistic discipline or disciplines you identify with. So if you're a musician, you'd be considered a music artist or a dance artist or a visual artist, etc. So this is our website, www.artscouncil.nb.ca, and this is where you'll find all of the grant listings as well as other relevant information. And you'll also find out where our online granting system is, Manipogo. So you would just go in the sign in beside the search bar, and it will take you to this site that looks like this. And this is where you get started. So basically, you'll be asked a series of questions to determine who you are and what you work in, and whether or not you're eligible to apply to MAC. So there'll be like some basic questions such as, are you a resident of Manitoba? You have to be in the province for at least a year prior to applying. Are you 18 years of age? Are you a full-time student, etc., etc.? So basically, it's just a checklist of relevant questions about yourself as an artist, group, or organization. So these are all the applicant types that you can apply as. So we have 5 in individual and group applicant types and 4 in organization applicant types. So I'm not going to go into these in any great detail. I'm just going to mention a few more relevant ones to the Indigenous 360 program. But if you want to find out more, you can go into our resources page and check out our general guidelines, which indicate all of the different applicant types and the criteria involved with each one. So one of the most common applicant types, of course, applying to MAC is a professional artist. So in order to be eligible to apply as a professional artist, you have to be, of course, a resident of Manitoba. You have to be at least 18 years of age or older. I know we do have a lot of very talented artists who are younger than that, but you have to be 18 years of age in order to apply. You have to have some sort of training in at least one art form. That could be mentorships, you could be self-taught, could have academic training, or any combination. You have to have a history of public presentation. So that would mean that you've been paid for a performance, either at a concert, a showcase, or a festival. And you cannot be a full-time student to apply to this. So if you're high school, college, university, unless you've completed your studies, you're not eligible to apply to the Manitoba Arts Council. But there is one program you can apply to as long as you're involved in an arts-related type of training or education, and that is the scholarships, Learn Scholarships. Another very popular applicant type is a professional arts group. And that's a group or a collective made of 2 or more members, the majority of which are, of course, residents of Manitoba, over 18, recognized by your peers as a professional arts group, have a history of public presentation, and of course, there's other criteria based on the profile type. So that would, I guess, be your bands, music bands that come in, so would be considered professional art group. And then professional organization. So same thing, must be based in Manitoba. You have to have been active in the province for at least 1 year. You're led by paid qualified professional staff. You're governed by a board or directors or an advisory body. And then, of course, other criteria based on profile type. And as I mentioned, there's 4 or 5 applicant types for the professional organization. So one that usually comes to the Indigenous program is a community not-for-profit organization, because many of them are located in the rural and the outside of Winnipeg. So other things you have to consider when creating your profile is disciplines. So you check off those artistic areas that you work in. So if you're a singer-songwriter, then check off music. If you're also a professional painter or a photographer, then you would check off visual arts. You can also check off what genre you work in. So that could be country, blues, hip hop, etc. You'll also need an artistic bio for your profile or artistic CV or resume. So most people do bios in the Indigenous 360 program. So you're at an advantage because most of you, I'm assuming, do have bios through the Manitoba Music Directory. So you can use that, just simply cut and paste onto a Word or PDF and just upload it onto your profile. We say that it takes like approximately 15 days to approve your profile. So try and get that together well before a deadline. If you want me to fast track, you can just call me, let me know, hey, I've put up my profile. Can you have a look at it, see if it's okay, and I can approve it quickly. I'm assuming, though, since you're all in this workshop today, that you're going to have plenty of time to put together this. The deadline is March 25th for the Indigenous 360 program. So these are some of the other programs that are available. As I mentioned, there's 15. So this is just a snapshot of programs. And we have 2 other additional programs that are just temporary and around for just a month. So, and that would be the ADAPT and the Arts and Cultural Sustainability Fund. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about now the 3 programs that are involved with the Indigenous 360 program. So we have the Indigenous 360 Create, and that supports the creation of new works or the development of works in progress. So in this program, you can apply for up to $15,000 to create a new work of art or finish a project you've been working on, such as writing songs for an upcoming album. You can also collaborate with other artists. So maybe you want to work with a producer and create an album. You can do so with this grant. Actually, this grant is the only program at MAC where you can apply for funding to make a music recording. So just to let you know, since we've introduced this in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of artists from Manitoba Music applying, and some of you were successful. Some of you that attended this same session, I think it was last August or September, were awarded a grant in the Indigenous 360 to create EPs, etc. Another program is the Indigenous 360 Share, and that supports the presentation of work. So we have a small scale project amount for up to $5,000. And if you have a more ambitious project, you can apply for up to $15,000 in the large scale. So you can do many different things in this program, including public presentations, such as concerts, showcases, artistic workshops, and gathering events. And I've noticed that a lot of artists that apply to this, they actually do a lot of work in their own home communities. So this is really great to bringing it to your home community to do to workshop or concert, etc. And then the final grant in the Indigenous 360 program is Learn, and that supports learning and artistic development activities. So you can apply for $2,500 for professional development, or $5,000 for a mentorship type of project. So most applicants do one of the following. Maybe they want to participate in a workshop or some sort of other short-term training. Some apply to participate in conferences, or artists may want to attend presentations of their work, such as festivals or showcases. Or you can mentor under another artist who has more experience in the art form, or you can even mentor under a knowledge keeper if that's what you want to do. Typical expenses for the Indigenous 360 program are, of course, your professional fees for your artists, knowledge keepers, mentors, and collaborators. Living costs while you're doing the project. You, of course, want to pay yourself as you're working on your project. Materials, that would be the supplies for your project. Studio equipment rentals. Travel expenses, say you have to travel to Northern Ontario to meet with your knowledge keeper mentor. You can also apply for workshop or conference fees or any other costs related to the project. We've even had people apply for, like, as part of their project, apply for new software or even like computer to work on their songs. I mean, all of these things are pretty much eligible. So we have 2 deadlines of the program. One that's coming up is March 25th, and I believe most of you are thinking about applying for that one. So those are for your projects that typically happen in the summer and fall. And then we have the September 25th, and that's for your projects that happen in winter and spring. So you can apply for either or or both, but just make sure it's different projects with different costs if you're going to be thinking about applying, or you could even do phase 1, phase 2 type of thing. So there's many ways around this and that you can take advantage of these different deadlines. So as I mentioned, there's some other MAC grants that you might want to consider. So I'm not going to go into great detail about these, just give you a little bit of a very quick summary of them. If you want more information, you can look on our website under the grants listings and just click on the different types of programs that you might be interested in. So the CREATE grant, that's a very popular grant, highly subscribed to. That deadline is coming up February 15th, and there's an October 10th deadline. You can apply for up to $15,000 in this, and it's very similar to the Indigenous 360 CREATE program. And then we have Share Present. This is similar to the Indigenous 360 Share. You can apply for up to $15,000 for this, and there's 2 deadlines, February 25th and September 10th. Share Tour is coming up April 1st and September 10th. It is very specific, though. You can only tour within Manitoba, and you can apply for up to $75,000 for this. Share Artists in the Communities. We've designed this for communities that face a barrier to access to the arts. So it's a really flexible program. You can do a multitude of things, including public presentations, community arts projects, artistic workshops, productions, etc., or even creation. The program has 3 deadlines, so you can apply for up to $15,000 in this program. And just to let you know, a lot of Indigenous artists also apply for this grant. It's also a good grant just in case, say, you missed one of the deadlines and you want to pick it up and do the project and share artists in community. You're probably welcome to do so. That's how flexible it is. We also have the Learn Travel Professional Development. It's kind of a micro grant of up to $1,000, has an ongoing deadline every 6 weeks, and it's where you can do short-term PD types of projects, such as workshops. Another program that we have is Learn Residencies. You can either do a self-directed residency in your choice of place, and this can be done all over the world, or you can apply for the Manitoba Riding Mountain Artist Residency, which happens during the summer, and stay in a beautiful cabin by Deep Bay. You can apply for up to $10,000 for this grant, and that deadline is March 10th and November 1st. And then our newest program is Supports Arts Leaders, and this is specifically for the BIPOC community. You can do mentorship, training, post-secondary studies, or self-directed leadership skill development. So you can apply for up to $35,000 for this grant, which is pretty significant. The deadline is coming up quickly, though. It's on February 15th. And then just one other I want to mention is this is Support Adapt for individuals. And it's for applicants who are responding to the changes brought on by the pandemic by adapting their artistic practice, expanding their skills, building new relationships, or creating new work. So that's a $10,000 grant, and March 8th is the deadline. So just check all of these out if you're interested. Check them out. If you have questions, call our help desk, and they'll direct you to the consultant who's in charge of the program. Okay, so you decided what grant you're going to apply to. You're ready to apply to, say, the Indigenous 360 grant, the CREATE. So you have to start preparing your application. So these are the main things that you have to consider, and I'll just talk about these in a little bit more detail. So your project description, and actually this is the most important part of your application, and this is where you're going to make your pitch for why you should receive the funding for your particular project. So it's basically the who, what, where, when, why, hows of your project. So you would describe what you're planning to do. Why is this project important? Who are you collaborating with? When is your project taking place? where you're presenting your project, and of course, include all other aspects of your project that you want to speak to. Overall, it's best though just to keep it simple, to the point, in clear and plain language, and have a good plan of what you're attempting to accomplish. Another important part of the application is, of course, the budget, and that includes two components, your revenues and your expenses. So if you have a large budget with other sources of funding, such as from Factor, Canada Council, Winnipeg Arts Council, then you should actually detail in the notes area exactly which costs you're asking MAC for, because this is something I see with assessors time and time again, the people that are reviewing and awarding the grants. If there's a huge budget, they want to know, well, what is MAC paying for? It's not clear on this budget. So try and make that clear. There are note sections on the right-hand side of the budget. Budget is all fillable fees. It will fields. It will add up everything. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that your revenues and expenses have to be balanced out. Otherwise, your budget will not upload and you'll get an error message. So it's pretty easy to figure out. And then, of course, your support material, and that's basically samples of your artwork, such as any recordings you've done. Maybe you've got some music videos. Maybe you want to show some text of your lyrics. So we recommend that you pick samples of your artistic work that best reflect your project. Samples should be in a clear, easy to see, hear format. And they must be in a digital format. So because you have to download them into our online granting system. Your audio and video files can only be 4 minutes maximum. Web links are not allowed, so you can't upload anything from YouTube or Vimeo, but you can, I think there's tools that you can use to convert it to digital files. I've also found that downloading support materials, one of the things that a lot of Indigenous artists have difficulty with, especially our knowledge keepers and elders in the community. Maybe they're not very tech savvy, but I'm assuming, I can't see you, but I'm assuming most of you are younger people and you are the computer geniuses of our generation. So I think you'll be able to figure it out. If you are having problems though, our help desk is able to help you troubleshoot through any issues. So, and they're available through Monday and Friday during the work week, 8:30 to 4:30. And then of course your collaborators. This may or may not apply to your project. Maybe you're just working on your project alone, but if you're working with anyone, such as another artist, a producer, an elder, an organization, you can use the Collaborator tab to provide information on. So I would recommend that you attach a letter of agreement if you're going to be working with anyone, especially a mentor that confirms that they're going to be working with you and they agree to what your plan is. Make sure that you include all artists' fees or elder honorariums in the budget. I would recommend that you consult with your mentors to find out what they want their fee to be and make sure it's fair and generous, because sometimes assessors really look hard at those artistic fees, and if you're cheaping out, they're really not going to like that. So it's highly recommended that you talk to a program consultant. So call me if you're thinking about applying to the program. I can help you every step of the way. I can direct you to the right program for your project idea. You can bounce your project ideas off of me. I can send you information on how to write an application. We have a toolkit. Can review a draft of your application before the deadline. So all of these things I'm available for. So as I mentioned, start your application well before the deadline. So I'm assuming that you're going to do that. You're here. It is February 10th. So you have till March 25th. So you're thinking about it, which is great. So start working on it. Make absolutely sure that you're applying to the right program. We have some applicants, unfortunately, who apply to the wrong program. Maybe they meant to apply to Indigenous 360 CREATE, but they instead made a draft for the CREATE program. They didn't realize it until after the deadline passed. So unfortunately, it's ineligible. So just make sure that you're applying to the right program before you start that draft. Hit save frequently so you don't lose any information. I think I mentioned earlier, if you want to use a Word document, you can put your thoughts on there, start working on your proposal there, and then just cut and paste. But if you're working right in the system, just make sure to hit save frequently. And then one very important thing, since we've gone online, any application for MAC has to be received at 11:59 p.m. on the day of the deadline. So that's a minute before midnight. So don't leave it to like 11:30 and then scramble to try and upload it. Sometimes there's difficulties. I'm sure some of you live in rural areas where internet is spotty and not always reliable. So I would recommend that you, if at all possible, submit your application during our office hours, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Just in case you come into any trouble, we'll have our help desk will be available to help you to troubleshoot and get your application submitted on time. So we have developed a series of videos, which will walk you through many of these processes that I mentioned, and including how to start your application, how to create a profile, etc. So you can find that on our grants tab under how to apply, and there's all sorts of helpful information there that you can review and reference. Okay, so say you've submitted your application. The next step is our peer assessment process. So one of my jobs is to find the right 3 or 4, maybe even 5 people to review the applications. So the peer assessment process is basically a meeting or panel where peers review applications. So just to let you know, assessors for the Indigenous 360 program are comprised of Indigenous artists, knowledge keepers, and Indigenous arts and cultural professionals from all over Canada. They're chosen for their expertise on the various art forms represented in the application. They have to make some hard decisions on the basis of the information you provide them. So make sure your application is presented in a clear and easy to understand manner. After difficult deliberations, grants are awarded by council according to the recommendations of the panel. So I just basically set up the meeting for them and facilitate the meeting for them to make these decisions. So it's not my decision personally who receives the grants or who does not receive the grants. The decisions are all made by these assessors. So your applications will be in very good hands. So once the assessors have met, they'll make the decisions to award whoever gets the grants. It is fairly competitive, so make sure that you do put together a good application. You'll hear back from us. Decisions are generally announced within 3 months of the application deadline. If your grant has been awarded by the program consultant, we'll send an email notification via email. So either if you're awarded or if you're declined, we'll send an email. Once you have processed the funding agreement, a payment will be mailed to you by check. At this point, we don't have direct deposit. If you're awarded a grant, your name and the amount of the grant will be listed in the annual report and on the website of the Manitoba Arts Council. And you will have 18 months to complete your grant and write back a final report. So that's about it for my presentation. Here's my contact information. You can either call me or email me. And our help desk. We have a toll-free number for those of you outside of the city. Here's our email addresses. Our help desk will help you within our Manipogo system if you're having any difficulties. And for myself as a program consultant, I'm the person that you'd speak to if you have questions about the grant program itself, or if you want me to review your application, etc. So given that we have technical difficulties and I can't actually hear questions, I'm not sure how we're going to go about this.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll leave it at that. She can't hear me, so it's fine. Thank you for your patience, everyone who's watching. What I'll do is I'll spotlight myself. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I know this was kind of an interesting presentation. I wish there was a little bit more of an opportunity to interact and engage, but I do really encourage you to email Tracey or myself. The deadline for the grant writing incubator is tomorrow. You can apply for the Manitoba Arts Council or the Canada Council for the Arts, or both, depending on what your application is. And like I said previously, we set you up with a mentor to help you write those applications. And as Tracey says, this has been successful in the past for our incubator participants. So I do strongly suggest checking it out and considering it if you are considering applying. And it is your first or second or a couple times applying to the grants, and you just want to make sure you have a really strong application. We have some really great mentors lined up to help you with the process. And yeah, with that, I will let you go. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. And again, my email is in the chat if you need anything. With that, have a great day, and we will see you. We'll see you when we see you. Bye.